The start of the Renaissance was in the early 1920s and went into the mid-1930s. It began a few years after World War I. President Calvin Coolidge was in office during this time. After World War I, millions of African Americans migrated from the South to the North to escape the economic depression in the South and also for the Industrial Revolution in the North. Influenced generations of African writers wrote because they were resisting the oppression of poverty and racism. The main concepts of the Harlem Renaissance was literary, artistic, and intellectual movements that identified a new Black culture, such as jazz, blues, music, poems, books, short stories, paintings, and murals. A couple of famous musicians and singers were Louis Armstrong, who was well known for his trumpet playing. Most of his music was not written on a score, it was just played freely. Billie Holiday, also known as Lady Day, was a well-known blues and jazz singer. Chick Webb played the drums in an outstanding band during the Harlem Renaissance. Their main type of music was swing. A couple artists that were also well known during the Harlem Renaissance was Aaron Douglas. His main themes were to focus on builders and social protests. In this painting, it shows a worker with chains. This can identify the African Americans doing buildings during that time. Jacob Lawrence was another artist during this time. His painting shown below or shown in front is the Great African American Migration. This is showing all of the millions of African Americans migrating from the South to North to those famous cities. His themes were to identify African culture and heritage from when the African Americans brought it from the South to the North. The writers during that time were, some of them that I picked were Constantine Cullen, Claude McKay, and Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes is the artist or the writer that I will be talking about. Langston Hughes was born in 1902 and died in 1967. He lived through both World Wars, the Civil Rights Movement, and also the Harlem Renaissance and Great Depression. He is originally from Missouri but died in New York City. He attended Lincoln and Columbia University. And his poem that I picked to talk about is The Weary Blues. The highlighted red parts are the literary references I'll make. Down on Langston Avenue, on the other night, many jazz musicians and also swing players played in the corners just to express their emotions and feelings and just kind of give other people a sense of what was going on during that time. He did a lazy sway. A lot of the musicians kind of danced and tapped their feet to the music that they were playing to, just to show that they were into it. Coming from Black Man's Soul, like I said before, most of the jazz musicians played from what was expressed from inside of them, just showing their true emotion and feeling to the type of music genres that they were playing. It was continued. There was a lot of it, but I cut down on a few parts. And then the last one is he played a few chords and then sang some more. Like I said before, most of the recordings or most of the music that they played were kind of freely. They really didn't play from a score. They just made it up on their own and kept the same beat. And that was just what they were doing in the corner in this poem. And what brought the Harlem Renaissance to an end was the Great Depression. It hit in October in 1929 and went till 1939. It ended actually a few years after World War II, and what I've learned is most Great Depressions end when there's a world war, because when a lot of people leave to go fight, they need to fill those job placements. So a lot of people in that case then receive jobs and the depression stops. But in this case, during this time period of the Harlem Renaissance, it hit the African American segment hard. It caused to have layoffs and foreclosures of their home, and it ended their American dream that they had. Many of the civil rights movement leaders that focused on arts and culture needed to then start focusing on financial and social issues to get them through the rough time. And this is my works cited